Hi folks, Mike again. I'm working on Fireball and I want to show you a few issues I was having with it. Put the bottom panel back in. I cleaned and adjusted all the points necessary. Cleaned and adjusted all the points on the play field, and you saw me doing the back box. Just something to point out. If you go on the web, you do a search for pinball rotisserie, and there is some ideas about how to make your own. I got this miter stand from Harbor Freight through one of those 30% coupons or whatever heck it was. And I picked this up, and on the web there's instructions about how to make it. And it works out very well. I could put the play field, I'll show you on this side, put the play field on here, and I can spin it around to get at either the top or the bottom. So it was very helpful. Then after I had the play field done, I took that off. Oh, my battery's going to die. Let me change out the battery. Back again. I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Anyway, yeah, there's instructions on the web about how to make a pinball rotisserie. It worked out very well. Now, after I had everything adjusted, I put it all back together, and the first thing I wanted to show you, hold on, let me short this out here. Okay, back again. So after I got everything back together, all the playfield in place, the bottom panel in place, and the back box on, and plugged in, turned the game on. And what I do is I always put it on a power strip so it's easy for me to shut on and off. Because even though there's a on-off switch on the game, I don't like using that when going through testing and trying everything out, because sometimes with the switch off, you still have power going through some parts of the game. And I don't like to be playing with it when there's some power going in the game. So that's why I use the power strip instead. Anyway, I just put the game on, and this is what happened as soon as I had all of the components back in. See, the motor keeps running, and it keeps trying to reset the scores. So, shut it off. Usually that's an indication that there is a zero position on these score reels here. And yeah, they're all at zero, but that doesn't mean there's a set of points on these wheels. And maybe those points are not in the proper, not adjusted properly. So what I did was I took out, I looked at each of the score wheels without taking them out and seeing what did not look right. And lo and behold, it was really this switch here, I think, was touching. And I just put this jumper on here just to simulate it so you could see what happened. And I noticed the points were touching, and that's what caused it to keep trying to reset. And all I had to do, really, there was a tiny drop of oil. I don't know how the heck it got there. A tiny drop of oil right on the points. And I don't use oil on the solenoids or anywhere in here. So I don't know how the heck that got there, but that little tiny drop of oil on the points caused it to short out. So once I just blew it off and cleaned it off with a little bit of cardboard, it reset fine. So that took care of that issue. And then, after that, let me get the light back here. After that, I noticed the tight points kept trying to score. It would reset everything fine, but let me show you here. I'm not quick enough to simulate what happened. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's what would happen. You can hear the relay that's stuck on. And I said, you know what? Let me try changing the player up unit, which is here, by just executing this is the player up unit. So let me try it on player 2, player 3, and I know it's dark, player 4, and let me see if it happens to all of them. And it did. And let me get the light. Okay. And I know this is hard to follow, but here is the 10-point relay. It says right on there 10 point, and this is the relay. So this kept being energized like that. So what I did then was look at the schematics. Hold on one second. Let me set the schematics and I'll show you how it. Okay, here we are at the schematics. So we know the 10-point relay was getting stuck on, so I'm looking at the schematics all over the place. Where the heck's a 10-point relay? And if you look here, that says 10-point relay. Now I need to figure out, how does this relay get energized? Well, the first thing on the right side here, there's a point on the relay itself that keeps it energized. And this, it's hard to see, but it says 10 through 90 units, end of stroke. So, and here are the points on those score wheels. In order to eliminate this whole thing here, I put a piece of a business card, or whatever heck I had, cardboard, piece of business card, in between the points on a 10-point relay, and I knew which one it was because it says, I know it's not focusing good, but it says the white and blue wire, 52-3. And you know that because on the schematic here, it tells you 5 is white with the blue tracer, and 2 is the blue tracer. And it's -3 because that color wire is used at least 3 times in this schematic for different things. So 52-3 is for the 10-point relay. And what I did was I put a piece of cardboard, I went to the 10-point relay in the back that I just showed you, and there I looked for the blue and white wire, a set of contact points, and I put a piece of cardboard in there. And that relay was still being energized, which told me that this could not be the problem, or most likely not the problem. So I eliminated that from being an issue. And now the other end of the 10-point relay goes to a set of contacts, and that says, I know you can't read it, and that says light yellow thump and bumper relay. So I found that on the bottom of the play field, and that too is a white wire with a blue trace. I found that set of contacts on that relay, put a piece of cardboard in there, and that relay was still being energized. So that told me this couldn't be the problem, or I should say most likely not the problem. So that left me to look at these here. And those are, I'll tell you what it says. The top one says spinner rollover buttons. And there's a 5 in parentheses. So that tells you there's 5 buttons or 5 contacts to look at there. Next line down says slingshots, 2 in parentheses. So there are 2 slingshots, a contact for each one. And the bottom one says rebounds, 8. So there's 8 rebounds, and they're all should have a white wire with a blue trace on one side of the contacts. So I ended up looking at all of those points to see if any of them were accidentally touching. Now let's go back inside and look at the machine. Okay, we're back. Hook up the light here. Looking at the machine. So remember on the schematics, it said slingshots with 2 in parentheses. Well, here's the play field, and there is one slingshot. Here's the other slingshot. And each one should have a set of points. And if we look here, here's a white wire with a blue trace, and there's a set of points. So you have to look at the points, make sure they're not accidentally touching, make sure there's no blobs of solder accidentally on these wafers, shorting them out. You also have to check on some points. Let's see if I could find a set on here. Try to find an easy one to point out. Oh, here's one. Okay. I look for any maybe broken tabs on the wire. You know, the wire might have come off and is shorting out against the other end of the contact. Let's look at another set of contacts here. So here's another one. White wire with a blue trace on one side. The other side's the yellow wire. Same thing, look at the contacts, make sure they're not touching, no blobs of solder across here on the bottom side. Make sure the wire's on and not shorting out. But you also have to look at, try to get better lighting on this. Let's see if I get a pointer. Not just the contacts themselves, but sometimes if you look right here, on this side there's a leaf with a contact, on the other side there's the leaf with the contact going to the where they're soldered on. But there's also, hard to see, there's also another leaf here that puts a little bit of pressure on this contact to keep it away from the other one. This way it shouldn't accidentally touch. It's hard to see, but there is a tiny leaf right here, and you got to make sure that leaf isn't accidentally shorting against the contact on the far side. Anyway, so I went through all of those that are marked with a blue and white, a white wire with a blue trace. They all look good, and then I said, darn, maybe there's something shorting out in the back. So what I did then was I looked on a schematic, these Jones plugs in the back here, and the Jones plugs here in the back box. It has to come back here in the back box because this is where the relay is on top. So let's see if I can put that right there. Doesn't help there. So then I looked on a schematic, and it told me that this plug has that white wire with a blue trace, the 52-3, and here it is right there. So I unplugged the Jones plug. I said, you know what, let me check to see if it's getting voltage through to, let me take the Jones plug off and put the meter on the male end, on the male end here, one end of the meter, the other end of the meter, and here's the blue and white wire coming from the Jones plug, and I put the other end of the meter on the red wire, and I tested the voltage, and what did that tell me? That told me that indeed there was juice was getting to up here to this plug. It wasn't shorting out anywhere in the back here. just in case the blue and white wire in the back box may have been shorting out on another wire, maybe in the female side here, or maybe somewhere in this wiring. So by me knowing that on the male side of it, it was getting juice, that told me it had to be coming from the playfield. Absolutely had to be shorting out somewhere in the playfield. Even though I checked all the points on the playfield already, I looked for any shorts, everything looked good. I said, it's got to be on here. And sure enough, I'll show you what the heck it was. So it took me about an hour to figure this out. If we look here, here's the points. This is the blue and white wire again. Another one. Contact point here, 10 points. If we look, hard to see, but the whole bundle is shorting out against the metal bracket. And the blue and white wire is right down here in this wire bundle is shorting out against the bracket. And that's what was causing it to keep scoring. You can hear it. So the slightest touch on it, you see it's getting stuck again. So, and that's what it was. And I know you can't see it, but when I pull this out, you can see the wire, what do you call that? The outside coating wore through from rubbing against the metal bracket. So that's why I kept shorting out. So yeah, it took me about an hour, hour and a half to find that tiny little short. So what I'm going to do is get a black wire covering and just, you know, sheathing, and just put it over the this whole thing here, and that should take care of it. And there was the two other wires that were shorting out as well. So that's it. That's what I found out so far. The next thing I got to do is this motor here. It's getting juice, but it's not strong enough to spin this. And it should spin. So that's the next thing to figure out. All right, talk to you later. Bye.